And we're back here on The Hash with Hatfield. Like, share, and subscribe to our Cova Sports TV YouTube channel, wherever you may be tuning in, be it social media platforms like Instagram, X or Twitter as they know them, Facebook, VirginiaPreps.com, also heard on Apple and Spotify. We thank you all for checking out our podcast as we are in state semifinal weekend. We are privileged to be joined by a special guest. He's the head football coach of the Region 3B champion Kettle Run Cougars. And they've had some thrillers the last 2 weeks, beating Armstrong and Thomas Jefferson of Richmond, two talented teams from the 804 area code. Now a 757 team ventures into their territory as they'll be playing host to the Lafayette Rams. We say hello and congrats to Coach Charlie Porterfield. Coach, thanks for stopping by. Congrats on the great season so far, and you got to be loving that you're playing football in the month of December.
Yeah, Matt, again, thank you so much for having me. Again, it's an honor. I try to follow this every week and see what's going on in the state. So it's an honor, honestly, for me to be able to talk about our program and be on the podcast. So, again, thank you very much.
Well, it's our pleasure, and I know we've spoken for years and years, and watch what you've done from afar up there in Nokesville, and it's pretty impressive because for those who don't know, Kettle Run's been playing football only since 2008. You took over as the head football coach in 2016, if I recall. So take the audience out there, some that aren't diehard Kettle Run football fans. There's a bunch of them. We'll get to all your players that have helped you to this point in a moment, but take us through your football journey, how you got involved with the game, and how you landed at Kettle Run.
Sure. I've been around the game, Matt, since I was 8 years old. I grew up on the other side of the state of Virginia. I'm a Virginia boy, diehard through and through. Grew up in Jonesville, down in Southwest Virginia in Lee County. Grew up watching my brother play football. Started playing when I was 8, and then I've been involved with the game ever since. Got lucky enough out of high school to get an opportunity to go down and play football at Elon University. Played for some great head coaches down there. Played for Pete Limbo my last 2 years. After I finished, took an opportunity to go coach at Allegheny College up in Meadville, Pennsylvania. Spent a year up there coaching the D-line, and then was lucky enough to get to go back to Elon for 2.5 seasons or 2.5 years as the director of operations and their tight end coach. After that, moved up here to Northern Virginia, didn't really have any ties. When Bud Bicknell opened up Patriot High School, I was looking for a high school job, and lo and behold, he's like, hey, do you want to come up to Nokesville and interview? Sure enough, it worked out. My wife and I moved up here, bought a house out in Warrington, spent about 5 years at Patriot. And then luckily enough, the Kettle Run job came open. We were living here in Fauquier County at the time. I had some dreams and aspirations of seeing if I could be a head coach and maybe putting my feet in that water. And again, Paul Fry, our athletic director, has been here since I got here. Lucky enough and gave me the opportunity to take over this head job. And again, I've been here since 16. And when I moved up here in 11 to take the Patriot job, that was the first time Kettle Run ever hosted their first state semifinals game. And then they played in it in 12. So even moving up here, I had already kind of heard about Kettle Run and knew what they were doing. Again, when the job came open, I was already living in the county. It was kind of a no-brainer for me to take a shot at it and see if I could get it. And luckily, again, was gracious enough to get the job and have been here ever since. And really couldn't be happier. Been one of the best places I've ever been, and I love this community and this town. And we've been able to do some special things here, I think, over the last 9 years, and hopefully going to continue rolling for a few more.
Yeah, what is it now, 6 or 7 district titles? You've won a few region championships just a couple years back in 2022. For those that haven't followed it closely, you were in the Class 4 state championship. You took out EC Glass in the state semis in Lynchburg, fell to Dinwiddie in the title game, and then you dropped down to Class 3. Let's get through just your last couple of games here, and we'll have the results here scrolling across our ticker for folks to see it. You've had some easy wins early on. You played a Sharando team, who, by the way, is playing the state semifinals, coming up against Phoebus. Maybe get your thoughts on them in a second, too. But you had these last 2 games with Armstrong and TJ. Take me through just those battles down to the wire. They're kicking a field goal as Armstrong at the end, and then you get an interception at the end of the game against TJ on the road in the 804. The first game you played against Armstrong, you were at home. This last game on the road, just tell me how your kids responded to those tough, adverse moments.
Matt, and again, I tell the guys, this is probably the most proud I've been these last 2 weeks of watching them and getting to be a part of watching them and helping them kind of overcome some adversity. And again, I think you mentioned that Sharando game early. I'm not going to hesitate to mention that Hanley game. That second week of the season was a big test for us as well. Mm-hmm. So again, I think we knew some stuff early. We had taken a little adversity, but not quite like we faced in that Armstrong game and that TJ game. Again, Armstrong, we're down twice in that game by, at least 14 points both times, able to kind of battle back and get the win. Again, luckily we were here. I thought our kids played extremely hard against that Armstrong team. And again, I think TJ's the same, getting to go down there. I told the coach, first time I'd ever been down to Richmond to play a game. First time I've ever played any of those teams in that area code. So again, we were excited again to get that opportunity to go down and to compete for a regional title. And luckily, again, it came out on top again. I think the great thing was the 4 quarters. We were able to put really 2 4-quarter games back to back. It's easy to do one. I was worried a little bit that, we maybe, used all up all our mojo against that Armstrong team. But again, to watch us kind of come back and battle the way that the guys did against TJ, again, I think we feel good about where we're at and confident, heading into this state semifinal game. But again, it's always an honor to be playing this late. I try to tell the guys every day, hey guys, there's only 4 other teams in our division right now practicing. So that's maybe less than 350 guys are practicing right now at the Division III level. So it's an honor to still be getting to do that. And again, we try to stay humble and stay blessed that, we're still getting to line up every day and go to practice with our buddies and get to coach and play the game that we love. And we're getting extra opportunities to do that. So.
You've produced some record setters here lately. I think of Jordan Tapscott just a couple years ago, who went on to Virginia Tech, who made just an incredible dent in the record book in terms of yardage, catches, touchdowns. And you got a few guys this year that I want you to hit on that have done that for you. Jacob Mulhern at quarterback, Colton Quaker at running back, and then a guy I think is very underrated for you, Connor Bernatsky, your tight end. If you love tight ends like Travis Kelce and George Kittle, he's like that for you guys. Tell us about what these guys have been and others that have contributed to your success.
Sure. Mulhern, again, he's my wife's favorite player. Because he's not a big kid. I think what you see about looking at most quarterbacks, he's probably a 5'9" kid, maybe 145, 150 pounds, but plays like he's 6'4" and 230. I mean, does everything you'd want a quarterback to do. He took his first sack on Friday against TJ, and that was a ball that he kind of fell out of his hands. So he's done a great job all year of doing exactly what you want a quarterback to do: lead the offense, distribute the balls. I think right now we have something like 5 or 6 guys that have over 500 yards of offense right now. We have multiple guys with double-digit touchdowns. So he's done a great job of just being what you need in a quarterback. Again, steady, calm. He runs the offense. He's the general in the huddle. He's getting those guys lined up. And again, he's been able to produce. I think he's broken all of our quarterback records at this point. He's just kind of putting those even further out of reach for whoever those guys are that come in next. Quaker, of course, that kid's been a starter for us since he was a freshman. He's put a lot of those running back records kind of out of reach. And again, a lot of those records were hard to beat because those were set by Josh Tapscott back years ago. Again, back when we were kind of rolling for that first couple years that the school opened. So again, Quaker's kind of contributions on both sides of the ball for us have been invaluable. And then this year, having Carter Bernatsky really step up at that tight end spot. He was our backup tight end last year, our second tight end. And I think we knew, hey, we're going to feel pretty good about what he's able to do. He does everything you want a tight end to do. He's able to block. He plays with his hand in the dirt. He runs all the routes you'd want. He pulls, catches shovel passes. He catches screens. He does everything you'd want a tight end to do. And he was a kid who, as a freshman, was a receiver and a corner. And he came to us as, an undersized kid and spent really 4 or 5 years in the weight room, hit a growth spurt. And then again, has really, for us, Carter's contributed on both sides of the ball because he's also our starting middle linebacker who's had really a kind of a stellar year on defense as well. But I think anytime that you have a tight end, that's a functional tight end. And then again, I think Jonathan Taylor, our fullback, those two guys add a whole different realm to our game as far as, you got to cover a receiver. Everybody knows that. You got to cover tailbacks, and we got 3 really good tailbacks. Having those other 2 guys, that fullback and that tight end, just give you extra guys on the field. And again, I think we want to make it as difficult as we can for defenses to prepare for us. So having those extra guys on the field that, again, you got to make sure that you're covering Bernatsky. If you're not, he's going to be a weapon. You got to make sure you're getting some pressure on Mulhern, all right, and you're taking those away because, again, he's able to hit all 3 of our receivers that we have out on the field. Roth, Colton Lubby, and then Braylon Jenkins, have all been stellar players for us this year as well. Mulhern's done a great job finding those kids. And then, again, Quaker never misses a beat. That kid can take a couple plays off and then comes back in the next drive, and the first carry he gets, it's for 20. He's just that type of kid. So we've been blessed with really good athletes.
For sure. He's been able to save him a little bit with keeping him fresh for defense and whatnot. I know he's also gone through some injuries in battle, but I love hearing about the fullbacks and tight ends because you and Lafayette, who we'll get to the matchup here, mirror images, and you both use that, respect that, and sometimes now with spread football, 4 or 5 receivers, you go empty. You don't see that as often, but hearing Taylor, obviously Bernatsky's name is so great to hear. And you mentioned Josh Tapscott, Jordan Tapscott, and this is a chance for you to mention so many different guys, unsung heroes, but you have another Tapscott, a freshman. I think it's Dyson in the secondary who's making plays for you. Tell me about him.
Jordan. It's Jordan's little brother.
Okay.
And again, it was one of those things. We were excited about him. He's clearly been around the program for years with his brother being in the program, his dad being on the staff. His dad's the head basketball coach here at Kettle Run. So Dyson's been around our program since he was a little boy. And we always knew we were excited about getting him. And again, I think I don't want to say shocked, but very pleasantly surprised with his ability to perform as a freshman. Kid's 14 years old. I think he has 8 interceptions on the year, has started at free safety for us the entire year, which is not an easy spot, especially in our defense. We ask a lot of those kids as far as getting other guys lining up, making sure you're kind of fixing anybody that's off on coverage, and then being able to run the alley and make tackles. And again, for a freshman to be able to do that has been really special to see. And again, one of those kids that, this year we've gotten a lot out of him, but really the future is so bright for him. And then again, a lot of those younger guys in the program that we're all really excited about. We've had a chance this year to play some younger guys that have got some playoff experience now. And again, I try to tell guys, I think one of these things that's helped us is, we really get extra weeks of practice, so those young guys that we have that are playing scout team or those freshmen that we have that are playing up on the varsity, at this point, they've gotten 4 extra weeks of practice. So that's just, 4 more weeks to help guys get a little bit better. So, and again, if you end up playing 5 games extra in the playoffs, that's a half an extra season that, all your freshmen, all your scout team guys are getting to play just that much more football. So again, I think that's why those teams, you see Lafayette in the playoffs every year, because I think those guys get so much extra practice that you may not account for making playoff runs every year. It just helps your team grow and develop, and that just kind of becomes the standard. So again, we're really blessed that we've gotten to get these extra weeks these last couple of years and get some of those young guys some extra experience, get their feet wet a little bit when it comes to playoff football, and then hopefully just kind of continue building for the future.
Charles Porterfield, I guess, the Northwestern District Coach of the Year, Kettle Run. The Region 3B champs hosting the Region 3A champion Lafayette Rams, coached by Andy Lynn, coming up on Saturday at 2 o'clock. It's on the hash with Hatfield. Coach, in Dyson to be leading his interceptions as a freshman is pretty remarkable. Given that, and you have playmakers on the defense. Both of you teams have great playmakers on each side of the ball, but the last couple of games has been in the 30s. How pivotal is it going to be as we break down this matchup with you and Lafayette to get takeaways in this game? Because you know how physical, how fundamentally sound discipline Lafayette is, to get a couple of either fumble recoveries, a pick, can really swing momentum in this type of game, and maybe even a play on special teams.
Yeah, and I think that's, one of the first things, clearly Lafayette was exactly kind of what I expected when I put the film on. I expected a well-coached coach, does a great job up there. I got the chance to meet him for the first time at the state meeting last year. But it's evident on film, you put that film on and within the first 4 clips that they're a well-coached team. That they're going to play hard, they're going to play fast, they're going to play physical, they tackle well, their special teams are top-notch. They do all the things that you expect a team that's making a run at a state championship to do every year. I think the thing you put on the film and you immediately see is the danger of letting them get up. I think Lafayette's one of those programs where if they're up 14 on you, that's a long way away. Because, again, their offense is a ground and pound. They don't have any problems getting, in that double wing and just running the ball down your throat and just eating clock up. So, again, I think, like you said, Matt, taking the ball away, finding a way to get some extra possessions, flip back to our side is going to be really pivotal in our being successful on Saturday. The other thing is, and again, all week is we got to find a way to make a play on special teams. Even if, a blocked extra point, blocked punt, even a big return, and it doesn't have to go to the house. But if you can return a ball past your 50, give yourself a short field on an offensive drive, you're just going to feel that much better about your ability to drive the ball, and score. And again, I think this week is going to be a big challenge to do that. Because again, I think that Lafayette Rams crew is so well coached. They don't make mistakes. They take advantage of stuff that you give them. And if you make a mistake, they're going to capitalize on it. So again, I think this is the type of team you expect to play at this level. And again, I wasn't shocked when I put that film on. It was exactly kind of what I thought. Again, growing up in Virginia, you know the name of Lafayette High School and how good they are at football and traditionally have been at football, and it continues that way. So again, I think from our guys, it's just an honor that we're getting to be in the conversation and play with teams like this, and again, compete and hopefully have a shot to move on to the big one.
Yeah, absolutely. As we wrap it up, and by the way, when a guy by the name of Lawrence Taylor once played for Lafayette, that tells you all you need to know. Arguably the greatest defensive player of all time, certainly in the conversation among the greatest of all time.
Sure.
As you look at it big picture, how nice is it to have this game on your surface at home? Because a lot of people looked at it and said maybe they would host it, given that they're the undefeated 1 seed. You guys were a 2 seed, but you guys had a better power rating, so you get to host this. How nice is it for your home fans to see you play one more time before what you hope would then be a state championship you're able to win?
Right. And again, Matt, that's for me, I've never got to host this game. So this is the first time as a coach that I've ever got to host a state semifinal game. Again, the last one we played in, we were on the road down in Lynchburg. So again, it's as high of an honor as you could really get. Again, this is the last game that you're able to host during the season. So that state title game is going to be at a neutral site. This is the last opportunity that you get to play in front of your home stands and your home crowd. So we certainly aren't going to take that lightly. I think the community is excited. I have a couple guys that work over in Prince William County at some of the high schools that, they got kids over there talking about, hey, we're going to pop out to the game, watch you guys play. So again, I think we have a great community support here in Nokesville. I think when I took over, that's one of the first things I noticed was how passionate this community was about football and how they wanted to be good. And have really supported us as we've been on these runs. So, again, I think getting to be able to do this with them one last time, again, for me, it's the highest honor you could get. Getting a chance to play at your home field, where you feel comfortable, not having to travel. And, again, huge honor. And, again, we're happy to be able to do it. Again, I say anytime you get a team like Lafayette that's got to come to play you're feeling pretty good about, where you're at in that season.
Should be a fun one in Nokesville Saturday, 2 o'clock kickoff as the undefeated Kettle Run Cougars play host to the unbeaten Lafayette Rams. Winner moves on to Liberty University in the state championship in VHSL Class 3 football on December 14th against the winner of the other semifinal featuring the Region 3C champion Liberty Christian Bulldogs and the Region 3D champion William Byrd Terriers. Charlie Porterfield, thank you so much for stopping by. All the best, and we'll talk again down the road.
Awesome, Matt. Thank you so much. Appreciate you having me.
On the Hash with Hatfield continues to move it along right here after this timeout. We'll hear from some of the sponsors that make it possible for us. Stay tuned. You're watching Cova Sports TV.